Good afternoon. I'm here to speak with you today as a member of St. David's Episcopal Church and a leader with Austin Interfaith. As you know, Austin Interfaith is a coalition of 38 institutions, churches, schools, unions that are located all over this city that represent more than 70,000 families in this city. I'd like to begin by applauding the City Council for examining this issue today. This is very important. As you all know, Austin is facing a housing crisis today. It has for a while. Now, this ordinance, this resolution, what it proposes to do, certainly won't solve that problem. But it is a very important first step to accomplishing that. And I hope that you will pass this resolution and that you will follow through with passing the ordinance. Austin Interfaith, our leaders were here earlier today to express their support, and I regret that they couldn't be here right now to speak. But earlier today in City Hall, there were speakers including Reverend John Elford of University United Methodist Church, Reverend Joseph Moore of Central Presbyterian Church, Reverend Katie Wright of St. David's Episcopal Church, and we also had a letter from Bishop Vasquez of the Catholic Diocese of Austin. They all spoke firmly in support of this resolution and what it represents. Empirically, we know that the need for this resolution is very real, and there's some information that if you haven't seen it yet, it would be good for you to see. The Austin Tenants Council last year released a report that demonstrates there are a little bit more than 78,000 units in this city that would be affordable to a person using a housing voucher. And through their research, they found that only 8,590 of those units will accept a person who's using a housing voucher. The rest of them, nearly 70,000, will turn you away simply by virtue of the fact that part of your rent is being paid through a voucher. Now, there have been other speakers before me who've expressed reticence about the city entering into this program. One thing you should bear in mind is that the language of this ordinance, as you undoubtedly know better than I, but maybe some people don't realize, does not require a landlord to accept a person who's using a housing voucher. They can turn them away for any legal, lawful reason. They simply cannot turn them away merely by virtue of the fact that they're going to be paying part of their rent with a voucher. For those of us who've gone to law school, you remember the phrase, a good reason, bad reason, or no reason, so long as it's not an unlawful reason. In the statement that HUD does not co-sign the lease, with the implicit suggestion that people who use housing vouchers are somehow inherently more risky tenants by virtue of the fact that they are using a voucher to pay their rent, I don't think I need to emphasize too long that that is an offensive statement born of ignorance. Dozens of states and countless more municipalities have already adopted provisions virtually identical to this. And as far to my knowledge, not a single one of those jurisdictions has repealed it because in practice they found that it was unworkable or that it imposed an unbearable burden on landlords. Hasn't happened. And I'd submit to you that some of the reticence that you may hear or see or otherwise be made aware of, like most discrimination, is the result more of lack of acquaintance, ignorance. In my experience, and I think in the experience of society, most discrimination falls and recedes in the face of the simple act of making acquaintance with the thing that you once hated or feared. So that's all a very elaborate way of saying that the people who are opposing this today, a couple years from now, they're going to say, it really wasn't that big a deal. Last thing to bear in mind is that we're not simply talking about a relative benefit between tenants who are using vouchers and landlords who may have to rent to them. Now, that's a discussion, that's a relevant discussion, and I think you can probably guess where I would say that that balance lands. But it's a much larger discussion than that. We're also talking about the benefit to the entire city from a program of this. I mean, at some point you have to ascend beyond the competing interests of various factions and think about the city as a whole, right? And the city as a whole will undoubtedly benefit from a policy that furthers affordable housing, because if nothing else, what affordable housing does is it reduces poverty, which is itself a moral pursuit, but it also reduces burdens on municipal services and all of the other problems that we see by virtue of the fact that people are living in poverty. So again, I want to applaud all of you just for the fact that you're even considering this. I think that is a remarkable step forward, and I hope it won't be the last.
Excuse me, are you Kathleen Davis? Is Kathleen Davis here? Okay, so you actually have another 3 minutes if you need it. You don't have to.
I think I wrapped that up pretty well.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.